Hi folks, John Dunn here, RPG freelancer, publisher behind Melee Revia. I am up here at Immortals Inc. with Mikey today.
What is going on today, John?
Well, I thought maybe we'd wrap something up today.
It's about time we wrap something up.
Occasionally we have to, right?
We got
All
to.
good things must end. Well,
Right.
I mean, we've run out of the core rule books for Tales of the Valiant today. We're doing the last of the trilogy of core rule books, and we're going to talk about Monster Vault.
Nice.
Unlock this vault,
Let's
as
go.
the case may be. All right. So this one, the lead designer on it was Megan Miracle. My apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. She, again, had a pretty big team. And she worked on Campaign Builders, Cities, and Towns that we just talked about, right?
So she worked on a few miracles.
She did.
Sorry, Megan.
It was necessary. She worked on Empire of the Ghouls, and she also worked on the Game Master's Guide for Tales of the Valiant.
Nice.
So she's had her hand in this project. This one was, again, funded in that May 2023 Kickstarter that also funded the Player's Guide, raised over $1 million, had 10,000 backers. And again, this was essentially a response to Wizards OGL changes. And this was basically leveraging the release of that SRD 5.1 into the Creative Commons. Because this is essentially a, alternate monster manual, you kind of have to compare it to that, right? I mean, we can't really talk about it in a vacuum because it is really an explicit alternative to the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons Monster Manual. And comparing it to the 2014 edition, I think it comes out pretty strong. But let's get into specifics there. So the first 25 pages is an intro to the book and a section on using monsters and stat blocks. Gives you kind of an overview of how to build encounters. Talks about customizing monsters and also a few custom combat options for if you might want to tweak things a little bit. Basically just to make an encounter feel different in response to the kind of thing that you're fighting.
Yeah, that's cool.
Doom, I believe, is one of the things that they specifically call out here. And then it goes through how to read a stat block in detail. So basically, you're getting your overview of how these stat blocks work. And these stat blocks look remarkably similar to any other 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons stat block product, right? Next 20 pages are a breakdown of terrain and creature types. So you're looking at what kind of environment the characters might be adventuring in and what creatures might be well suited to that. So you get basically a list then of these different creatures and that are relevant to all the different terrains, right? So if you're in the Arctic, you're probably going to see these things. If you're in the tropics, you're probably going to see these things. What's handy is you do get a pronunciation guide.
Nice.
So when you see some of the unusual terms that get tossed about here, there is at least a recommended pronunciation for it. The next 280 pages are an alphabetical list of monsters. That's a lot of monsters, right?
That's quite a lot of monsters.
Pretty much one monster per page, sometimes one monster per 2 pages, but there's a lot of stuff in here. It does include everything that's in the Creative Commons release, the 5.1 SRD. So at a base level, it includes everything from the monster manual that is in Creative Commons. That means you're not going to see a beholder. That means you're not going to see a mind flayer because those are, part of the core Dungeons & Dragons IP that they don't share to the Creative Commons. It does, however, mean that you get all the chromatic dragons, you get orcs, you get goblins, you get elementals, you get the whole range of stuff that you see in the monster manual, except for those few very specific ones that are excluded. In addition, there are a lot of other monsters. I wrote down a list. It's real long. I'm not going to read it all to you. Some of them are things from past editions of Dungeons & Dragons that were not in the Creative Commons release and are not really in 5e in the core monster books, like the Blink Dog. That's kind of a classic teleporting dog monster that shows up in there. We get dinosaurs. We get Darrow. We get a couple of different variants of monsters, particularly any of the civilized monsters like, goblins or orcs, monsters that have their own civilization. We get some more variant stat blocks that aren't included in the Creative Commons, and a whole lot of other stuff. There's some robots. There's myconoids. It's pretty wild.
Myconoids, what are those?
Fungus people.
Nice.
Yeah. So there's some cool stuff in here. It does expand the scope of what you see for monsters. It doesn't really overlap with a lot of the other Kobold Press monster books either, so you're getting that core release, but then you're still have the opportunity to grab some of those other books and use them with Tales of the Valiant.
Nice.
And it's worth mentioning, everything does have artwork, and some of it's really cool. And if I flip through here real fast, you can see some pretty cool looking pieces. A whole lot of variant dragons too, beyond just the 10 that we usually associate with.
Their art is amazing. Just looking through it for like thumbnails and stuff. Like
they got some solid stuff
really
in there.
Nice artwork.
Once we get past the alphabetical list of monsters, and really that is the meat of the book, and there's not going to be a whole lot of point in me just rattling off a list of them. There's an appendices. The appendices include some basic common animals. So if you need stuff for familiar that's beyond the scope of what's included in the player's book, because remember there were some monsters, some animals in there. We get our conditions. We get a brief overview of pantheons, and then a few more creatures. Again, mostly familiars and mounts in here. Then there's a 5-page index that follows that up. It's 380 pages. It's full color. It's a hardcover. It's $60, so basically the same price as the Wizards product. But I'm impressed. It's a solid book. I like the way they expanded out each of these write-ups so that you're seeing more than what you get in the Creative Commons releases. Really just kind of fleshing stuff out, giving a little more meat, a little more ideas for how to set up a combat encounter with these creatures.
Very well said, John. I just love, like I said, the artwork. I love how they expanded out and did their own thing. If you didn't see our past 2 videos covering the other core books, I put them below. And thank you again, John.
Till next time, folks. Good gaming.